So hello guys and welcome to this new tutorial in which we're gonna learn about Django. So if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button and follow us on Instagram. So first of all, what is Django? So Django is a free and open source Python framework for backend web applications that encourages rapid development and clean, pragmatic design. A framework is nothing more than a collection of modules that make development easier. It allows you to create applications or websites from an existing source instead of from scratch. So technically it takes care of much of the hassle of web development, so you can focus on writing your app without needing to reinvent the wheel. The Django has been designed to help developers take applications from concept to completion as quickly as possible. Isn't that just amazing? So this is how websites, even simple ones designed by a single person like me and you, can still include advanced functionality like authentication support, management and admin panels, contact forms, comment boxes, file upload support, and anything you can think about. So in other words, if you were creating a website from scratch, you would need to develop these components yourself. By using a framework instead, these components are already built. You just need to configure them properly to match your site. So Django offers a big collection of modules which you can use in your own projects. Primarily, frameworks exist to save developers a lot of wasted time and headaches, and Django is no different. So you might also be interested in learning that Django was created with front-end developers in mind. Django's template language is designed to feel comfortable and easy to learn to do, used to working with HTML like designers and front-end developers, but it is also flexible and highly extensible, allowing developers to augment the template language as needed. So if you're going to be working with Python, especially for web applications or web design, you'll want to remember the Django framework. It will certainly come in handy. So Django is the choice of many of the giants of the internet. Some of those popular websites enjoy Django's speed, flexibility, and ease of use. Some of them are Instagram, Spotify, The Washington Post, and even Dropbox. So it's because Django is easy to use, secure, fast and simple, and it suits any web application project actually. So in this tutorial, we're going to build a Django project that simply says hello world on the homepage. This is the traditional way to start the new programming language or framework. So first of all, let's go ahead and dive into the initial setup. So to start with, let's navigate a new directory on our computer. For me, it's Django. And let's go there and create our new folder called Hello World. This is the projects folder. And let's go cd there. So make sure you're not already in an existing virtual environment at this point. If you see parentheses before the username and the dollar or the dollar sign here, then you are. Exit it by simply typing exit and hit the enter button. The parentheses should disappear, which means that the virtual environment is no longer active at this point. So we'll use pipenv to create a new virtual environment and install Django, then activate it. So pipenv install Django, and the version is 3.1. So now it's configuring our virtual environment and installing Django inside of it. So the install and the configuration is done. Now let's go into our virtual environment shell. Here we go. As you can see, now we have the name of the virtual environment, which is the name of the folder, the project of the folder's project, inside parentheses, which means we're inside the virtual environment at this point. So we'll now create a new Django project called Hello World project, making sure to include the period at the end of the command so that it's installed in our current directory. So the command is Django admin start project hello world project, and don't forget the dot at the end, the period, so it can create the project inside of this directory. So as you can see, it did create the project. So if we use the tree command, you can see what our Django project structure now looks like. We have the manage.py file, which is technically a command line utility that lets you interact with this Django project in various ways. Do not touch this file. It's not recommended. So it executes various Django commands such as running the local web server or creating a new app. Then we have inside our project directory, inside our project folder here, we have the init.py file, which is just an empty file that simply tells Python that this directory should be considered as a Python package. We have the setting.py, which is the settings configurations for this Django project. We have the URLs, which is the URL declarations for this project. It's like a table of contents for your Django powered site. It tells Django technically which pages to build in response to a browser or a URL request. Then you have the whiskey.py file, which is an entry point for Whiskey compatible web servers to serve your project. It technically stands for Web Server Gateway Interface. It just helps Django serve our eventual web pages. So Django comes in with a built-in web server for local development purposes. We can start it with the run server command. So you can go ahead, Python manage.py run server, and you should see the following. So it technically worked. Amazing. Congratulations for achieving this point. So if we go to our browser and refresh the page, we'll see, congratulations, the install worked successfully. That's amazing, and that's what you would like to see. So let's go back to our VS Code. And now let's create a new app. So Django uses the concept of project and apps to keep code clean and readable. A single Django project contains one or more apps within it that all work together to power a web application. This is why the command for a new Django project is start project. For example, a real-world Django e-commerce site might have one app for user authentication, another app for payments, and a third app to power item list and details. Each focuses on an isolated piece of functionality. We need to create our first app, which we'll call home. For the command line, quit the server with the Ctrl+C, like this, and then use the start app command. So Python manage.py start app home, and we'll call our application home, plain and simple. So now if you look again inside the directory with the tree command, you'll see that Django has created a page directory with the following files. Here you go, your application directory. So let's review what each new home app file does. So the admin.py is used to register your models here for them to be manipulated on the Django admin. The apps.py, it defines your model. These are the tables used for storing data and defining the relations. The tests.py, it's self-explanatory. It's writing test for the app. Then you have the apps.py, which contains the app configuration code. You have the views.py. It's where we handle the request response logic for our web app and to define data to be rendered on our templates. And you have the migrations folder, which keeps track of any changes to our models.py file, so our databases and models stay in sync. So even though our new app exists within the Django project, for now Django doesn't really know about it until we explicitly add it. So in your favorite text editor, open the settings.py file and scroll down to the installed apps, where you will see 6 built-in Django apps already there. Here you go. And now let's add our new home app at the bottom. So to do so, we go home, the name of the app, dot apps, dot the name of the app again in capital letter, config. Perfect. So we should always add our own local apps at the bottom, because Django will read our installed apps in top-down order. Therefore, the internal admin app is loaded first, then the auth and so on. So we'll want the core Django apps to be available, since it's quite likely our own app will rely on their functionality. So you could have added home plain and simple, but it's a best practice to do it like this. So we'll build and add many more apps to our Django project in later tutorials, so this pattern will become familiar with time. Now in Django, views determine what content is displayed. So the views is this file. It determines what content is displayed on a given page, while URL configurations determine where that content is going. So when a user requests a specific page, like the home page, the URL configurations will use a regular expression to map that request to the appropriate view function width, then return the correct data. In other words, our view will output the hello world text, while our URL will ensure that when the user visits the home page, they are redirected to the correct view. So let's start by updating the views.py file in our home page app, to look as follows. So let's go to the views.py and let's define our view function. So we'll call it home view, and it will return an HTTP response saying hello world. And we need to give it a request as an argument, and we need to import the HTTP response method from Django.http. Import HTTP response. Perfect. So basically what we're doing is we're saying whenever the view function home view is called, return the text hello world. More specifically, we've imported the built-in HTTP response method, so we can return a response object to the user. We've created a function called homeView that accepts the request object and returns a response with the string hello world. Now we need to configure our URLs. Within the home app, let's create a new URLs file. Okay, so new file, urls.py. And inside that file, we'll update it with the following code. So first of all, we'll import from Django.urls, import path. And from .views, we'll import our view function, home view, we called it. And let's define our URL patterns. And we'll call them, we'll define inside there the path to our, what will be the path to our view, home view. So home view, don't worry if this doesn't make much sense, it will do so with time. So on the top line, we import the path from Django to power our URL pattern, and on the next line we import our views. Okay, so by using the period dot views, we reference the current directory, which is our home app containing both views and URLs. So our URL pattern has three parts. So if the user requests the home page represented by the empty string, then use the view, then we tell them to use the view called home view, which we called home. So we're almost done. The last step is to configure our project level URL file. Since it's common to have multiple apps within a single project, so they each need their own route. So let's go to the URL file within our Django project, and let's update the existing hello world project /urls.py file as follows. So we're now include, and we're gonna go like path empty string include home.urls. So we've imported include on the second line next to path, and then created a URL pattern for our home app. Now whenever a user visits the home page at /, they will first be routed to the home app and then to the home page view. And it's often confusing to beginners that we don't need to import the home app here, yet we refer to it in our URL pattern as home.urls. The reason we do this way is that the method django.url.include expects us to pass in a module or app as the first argument. So without using include, we would need to import our home app, but since we do use include, we don't have to do so at the project level. So we have all the code we need now to confirm everything works as expected. Let's restart our Django server. So Python manage.py run server. We have some problem here. Cannot import name home view from home.views. Why? Why couldn't you? Home view. Ah, I called it home, sorry. Home view. Now perfect. Now let's go check our website. Oh, let's refresh the page. Perfect. So if we refresh the browser, now it displays the text hello world. So perfect, and congratulations guys, you have finished your first Django project app. And thank you for watching this tutorial, and see you on the next tutorial.